Namaste everyone. Tanya ji, you can start now.
Am I audible and visible?
Yeah, we can start.
Okay. Okay. So, very good morning to one and all present here. This is Tanya Arora from BID Mesra. Thank you all on the behalf of entire Think India family to the morning session of Ingenious Uttisht Bharat Think India Startup and Innovation e-Summit, which is organized from 1st to 7th November 2020 in collaboration with All India Council for Technical Education, Software Technology Parks of India, Institutions Innovation Council, Ministry of Education, Innovation of Hub, Entrepreneurial Development, Institution of India, Innovation Hub, Gujarat Technical University, and MNIT Innovation and Incubation Center. Now, I would like to discuss a little about Think India. Think India is a forum of students from premier institutes like IITs, IIM, IISc, and National Law School, and other such premier institutes in various fields of academia across India. Think India is aimed at binding Indian students to a nationalistic string and developing in them through different forums, events, internships, etc. Think India has recently successfully conducted activities like EMUN, e-debate, and National Youth Parliament. Our different forums, such as Tribal Rights Forum, Startup and Innovation Forum, are active in uniting and training Indian youth. Think India Startup Summit is organized to encourage young minds to innovate and come up with desiring solutions to pressing issues. There, youth can learn about the different entrepreneurs, mentors, their stories, and learn from them. In this meeting, we have also our privilege to have among us our national convener of Think India, Shri Pratik Sutharji, and national co-convener, Shri Aditya Kashyapji. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in. I also would like to welcome all our guests, Professor Prabodh Ganguly Dr. Mohit Kambe and Dr. Unat Professor Prabodh Ganguly. Professor Prabodh Ganguly is a renowned professor of physics. He obtained his MSc in chemistry from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, PhD in chemical physics from the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai, and completed his postdoctoral research in Germany and Canada. He was a visiting scientist at the Bhabha Atomic Research Center in 1981 before joining Hindustan Lever Limited as a research scientist. Professor Prabodh Ganguly is the CEO, Vision IPR, Mumbai, India. He is also a visiting professor, Rajiv Gandhi School of Intellectual Property Law, OPI National Digital Library of India, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, India, and advisor of Indian Institute of Technology, Jodhpur, India. His professional career spans academics to international industrial experience for 2 decades in diverse managerial roles such as research scientist and research and development management, strategic management of IPR in businesses, and many others. Next among us, we have the privilege of having Dr. Mohit Kambe, sir. Dr. Mohit is the Innovation Director, MHRD's Innovation Cell Government of India. He belongs to the first breed of techno-legal professional out of India. By qualification, he is a PhD in computer engineering along with the LLB JD equivalent in IPR. He has extensive work experience in IP space, having established profit-generating IP teams on various models with FTE, contractual project-based and need-based, and was responsible for complete cycle of operations and execution. He also has hands-on experience in working on various diversified IP projects in high tech, ranging from patent portfolio generation, accelerated examinations in validity and validity searches, litigation studies, and so forth. Dr. Mohit has rich experience in building companies from scratch with limited resources for smooth sailing operations with a lot of market credibility. where Aspire, his latest venture, is engaged in creating valuable businesses assets for his clients by safeguarding their IP rights. Next among us, we have pleasure of having Unnat Pandit sir. Dr. Unnat Pandit has completed MSc in Organic Chemistry and PhD in Medicinal Chemistry from Bhavnagar University and Industry Collaborative Research Project of Olympic Limited. He has also completed an Executive General Management program from Indian Institute of Management, Lucknow. He has been awarded LNB in General Law from Gujarat University and a specialized PG diploma in Patent Law from Nalsar University of Law. As a visionary professional, served in academics, pharmaceutical business-linked intellectual property management, and in bureaucratic role for overall 18 years of professional experience, dealing with techno-commercial activities of different organizations like academic, corporate groups, central government. He has also worked as an officer on special duty commerce and industry minister with Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman at Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India. He was also a member of a IPR think tank constituted by Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, Government of India to draft national IPR policy. We are privileged to have you among us, sir. Thank you so much. Now, in this panel discussion, we are going to discussions of 20 minutes each by each panel guest, by each eminent personality, and we also like to take this as amazing session, and we hope that you learn from it amazing things. Now, I request all of you, if you have, in case you get any queries or in case you have any questions, you can ask them in chat box and keep your mics at unmuted and videos off at all times. Now, I will invite Dr. Professor Ganguly sir for his guidance, for his eminent and efficient, and on this interesting topic of a role of IPR in Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Well, thank you very much. I'm so pleased to be this entire team today. We have a very powerful team of Mohit Kambe, Unnat Pandit with us, and it's absolutely marvelous to be a part of this team. And nothing like being a part, with all the young people like you who have actually come together to really take the country forward to the next height, where people like us have left and you people are taking it off to the next level of greatness for this country. So with this, I would like to start by sharing some of my slides. So I'm just going into the slide share mode. So you'll have to tell me where, uh, um, you know, uh,
It is trying to upload, sir.
Okay, so we'll wait for a second. As we wait for a second or so for the slide to upload, today we are talking about the role of IPR in Atmanirbhar Bharat. In Atmanirbhar Bharat specifically,
Sir,
how
you can
sorry,
minimize the WhatsApp chat so that we can see the presentation.
okay, I will bring that down. Is that
Yeah.
okay?
It's yet to reflect. Or you can share the presentation, PowerPoints.
Yeah, is that okay now? Is it? I've tried
I think,
again.
yes, it would be good if you try again and share only PowerPoint.
Okay, okay, I will go out of that. I will go back to this. Now, what's happening?
Share now again. That.
I'll share again.
Huh.
No. Is this coming now?
Sir, about to get visible. I think some net issues there. You can, sir, disable your camera so that we can have a better audio clarity.
I will do that right away. I will. So, the camera. Did it come now? Has it? Hello.
No, sir, it isn't shared. It's not been shared yet.
Oh God. What do we do then? There's a
The screen
problem.
was visible earlier, but
It's.
WhatsApp window was open.
I'll close that.
I
One
can,
minute.
sir, I can share it from my side if you want.
Yeah. Why don't you do that?
Yeah,
Can
you
you?
can share. You can share these slides with me. I will share it from here, and you can
Okay.
deliver it
Okay.
off.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
some
Then
technical issues there.
let me send it to you by WhatsApp.
Okay.
Okay, I'll just try once more whether I'll just try once more. So I'll say share context and share.
Maybe
Is it sharing now?
you can stop your video so that total bandwidth is available. Yes. Now we can see the screen. Now you can, sir, start the video. Sorry, presentation.
Okay. Is that okay? Is that all right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Good. Now let's start then. Let's start. So now we're talking about the role of IPI in Atmanirbhar Bharat. So as I go far, very important that whenever we talk about startups and we're talking about young people now getting into the startup dream, and what I'm saying is that every young startup who comes in has a great dream. And what is it? Banega Crorepati. Very interesting that all young people are thinking dynamically as Kaun Banega Crorepati, but it doesn't happen automatically. You got to plan for it, you got to manage it, you got to work the whole thing through. So let's take our step to this step of how we will go from just sheer thought processes into something real, into something contributing to what we are going to do in this country. So to do that, let's go to the next part. So when we go in these parts, what are the stages that we go through? We know that when we are going to start something and we want to build on it, we've got to take our thoughts, we've got to initiate the whole process, and then at some stage, we've got to launch ourselves. Not only launching is not good enough, we'll have to sustain ourselves. After sustaining ourselves, we have to grow, and then we'll have to compete in the marketplace. And only if we can launch, if we can sustain, if we can grow, and if we can compete and do this particular thing continuously, that we will survive in the entire marketplace for a certain length of time. To do this, the very important part is that we need to do innovations at every stage. And therefore, all these demand a continual process of innovation. So now in this continual process of innovation that we are talking about, how do we really take on this innovation and then go through this particular process from thought to initiation to the reality in the marketplace? To do that, and therefore I come in that when we are talking about creating something, obviously we must first know why we are doing. Therefore, you must know your cause. I call them KYC. You must know your consumers, who are your clients, who are your, with the stakeholders. Then question comes in, what are your creations? How will you create? What will you do on those? Very important part that all this involves a certain cost. So I have to know my cost. Then, am I doing it alone? No. There are competitors all around in the marketplace. The competitors become very important. So I must know my competitors. Am I going to do it alone? Possibly not. I need collaborate. So I have to know with whom will I collaborate, with whom will I partner. Then am I doing it alone? I need connectivities with various organizations, with various, government agencies, with banks, with financial institutions, etc., etc. I must also know what I can control and what I can really take care of. And I must know who are my creators, who are going to give me money, and therefore I'm responsible to them. Therefore, when I'm going to do all this, in all this context of cause, context, capabilities, constraints, consumers, creations, cost, competitors, collaborators, connectivities, controls, and creditors, when you look at all this, intellectual property rights now plays a very important role in stringing all this together in a certain form. Let's go to that now. And therefore, I thought I will use this old, Raj Kapoor's Hindi song, but change it slightly. In our educational system, what happens is, as I say, सब कुछ सीखा हमने, ना सीखी होशियारी. Now, today, if I want to survive in the real world, right, in the real world of innovation, in the real world of what I call as Atmanirbhar Bharat, I cannot stay with the old tune. I have to put in सब कुछ सीखा हमने, सीखी और सीखी IPR होशियारी. So how do imbibe the IPR hoshiyari in me as I go and take the next step forward? Very important in doing that. Now, as we go further to that, we must understand this whole concept of intellectual property rights. See the words, property rights. That means intellectual means whatever I create of the human mind. That is intellectual. I take the creation and convert that creation into a property. Therefore, it becomes intellectual property, right? Otherwise, it's an intellectual creation only. But when I convert the intellectual creation into a property, and my other colleagues will talk more in detail about how do you convert this into property out there. So you convert this into property, and when you convert these intellectual creations into property, you get certain rights for it. And therefore, we put these three words together and call it intellectual property rights. And when we talk about intellectual property rights, creations of the human mind are of various types. So one part of the creation are inventions, right? What are inventions? Inventions are when I create something new which did not exist before. And that must have something to do with functionality. So therefore, I want a better door, I want a better car, I want a better, mouse, I want a better, pressure cooker. Those which involve technology, and I create something new, I create inventions. And those inventions are protected by patents. The moment we hear the word patents, what must come to our mind are inventions. Then there are other types of creations that the human mind does. Creates some distinctive marks, which we use in the course of trade to differentiate our products and services. And these are called trademarks, which is different from patents. The trademarks are nothing to do with inventions, but trademarks are these different marks of distinct and marks. So for example, when we use, for example, we say Dabur and read out there. Similarly, when different types of shapes and ornamentations of articles. Suppose I create a new shape of a spoon, or I create the new shape of my glasses, or I create the new shape of, let us say, a cooking vessel, right? Then all those can be protected by what is known as industrial design registration. Expressions of the human mind like poetry, songs, drama, sculpture, all those are expressions of the human mind, and that is protected by a tool called copyright out there. And when we do not want to share information with others and we want to keep it with ourselves and protect them, they are called trade secrets or know-how. Very important part is that when we take all our creations, we take different aspects of the creations and protect them with different aspects of intellectual property tools like patents, trademark, designs, copyright, etc., put together. And when we do that, what we do is create what is known as an intellectual property rights portfolio. So we create these intellectual property rights portfolio, and then we use this portfolio, we use this entire package of protected aspects of our creations and use them for business purposes. Now we go one step further out there. And therefore, in this, when we do the entire process, it is very important for us right from concept. And when we do this and get started and midway into the market, what important part in IPR, which my other colleagues will talk in more detail, but what I wanted to bring is the moment we get an idea, the first question that should come to our mind is, am I the only person who has got the idea? Has somebody else already have got this idea? Have they already worked on it? Therefore, I must do a full detailed literature search. And patent literature is an open literature where we can search and find out what has been done before, what has been protected before, and therefore take the appropriate corrective measures right in my thought process that I'm not copying somebody. Or if I'm going to copy somebody, that I'm not infringing their rights. When I come to the market with my product, somebody will come and take me to court and say, you copied me, and therefore you can't do this. Then it's too late. So right in the beginning, I have to look at, while creating my options, while looking at. So that is the first part. The second part is work. Mind you, you're not the only one working, the world is working. So as we are working, as we come up with new things, we must then assess at what stage I must protect my thing with IPR, so that my filings become very important at that stage. Because strategic filings are extremely important, so that my inventions on my other creations, like the distinctive shapes, ornamentations, etc., remain protected, even though I'm still in my innovation process. Then very important part is that as we do this, maybe there are other partners, maybe I need to buy something from somebody else, somebody's knowledge, or I must license somebody's knowledge, or I must collaborate with people. So that is something that I must dynamically learn. And therefore, while becoming Atmanirbhar, I am also finding out how to best utilize what is available in the open domain and also in the domain with others. And that gives me the chance of collaborating and doing things. Then, of course, very important is that we create the portfolios. We work out who can do the marketing. That is, I may have created something, but I may not have the marketing skills. I may not have the marketing things. So when I do the marketing tie-ups, IPR becomes very important. The other very important part is, because it is intellectual property rights, it's a property. It can be mortgaged with banks, financial institutions, others to get money, and we can attract investors out there. The last part, which is very important, is that as we go through and enter the marketplace, we have to constantly monitor, is somebody copying me? Am I infringing somebody? So all these become very important parts of learning how to do and manage the intellectual property rights as we go along. And the part is therefore that when I am a proprietor of intellectual property rights, what all can I do? A, I can use it as a proprietor. I can manufacture the products. I can use the process. I can sell it by myself, or I can contract the selling to somebody. I can license it to somebody. That means give permission for somebody else to either manufacture it or sell it, and I can collect royalties. I can sell my intellectual property and get some money. That means I exit somebody and I exit from that particular bit. So I'm converting my intellectual property into an asset and earning some. And then I can joint ventures, I can negotiate different types of licenses. I can give part of my portfolio to somebody, take part of portfolio of somebody else. So that is called cross licensing. I can even donate my rights, etc. So these are various options the IPR proprietor has, and therefore it is very important out there that we create this innovation value chain, and then on all these things we must have the foresight to know when to do these tactical partnerships using the intellectual property rights, how to collaborate with others using the intellectual property rights, how to use the interdisciplinary knowledge, including intellectual property rights, and how do we transact intellectual property rights in there. And in doing all this, we must understand how and where we fit into this whole concept of social engagement, cultural compatibility, and important for absorption, diffusion, and acceptance of end products of technology. So therefore, just very quickly, as I had said right here, that it is time for us now to learn a lot of IPR managing things in a very intelligent manner. Therefore, I use the term IPR Hoshiari. We have to understand how to do this and take this to the next level so that when we go through this whole innovation chain and protect our innovations, we are not only protecting them, but we are also effectively utilizing them, and we are maximizing the value of what we have created. So I will stop here at this page and leave the floor to my colleagues in the panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an insightful session. And indeed, sir, सब कुछ सीखा हमने, ना सीखी IPR होशियारी, and that could be rectified now with the knowledge you gave us and with our impeccable panelist members. Now we shall move forward with our next panelist, with Dr. Mohit. Sir, I would like to invite you to the stage.
Thank you so much, and am I audible?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes, you're audible.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuda sir, for setting the tone right. And I would also like to welcome Unnat and all the audience, the listeners, the young brains of the country. Rather, I generally say future shapers, देश के भविष्य निर्माता. और हम लोग जैसे प्रबुद्ध सर ने कहा, कैटलिस्ट या जितनी हम लोगों ने अपनी तरफ से कोशिश कर रहे हैं, जितनी मेहनत हम कर रहे हैं, तो वी अंडरस्टैंड कि आप सब उसको बहुत तेजी से और बहुत अग्रसर होकर आगे बढ़ाएंगे, एंड यू विल टेक दिस बैटन इन अ वे. आई बिलीव द centuries and the generations, they are going to say that's ये भारतीय है. As an IP, जो आज का हमारा विषय बौद्धिक संपदा, बहुत कई बार अचरज होता था मुझे आज से 15-20 साल पहले जब शुरू करता था और या शुरू किया मैंने. I talked to many people in IP, and before that 5-7 years I was into research, locating couple of things. I got acquainted into IP pretty early, and when I started discussing, I'm talking about 20 years ago, the scenario was what it is, what it was all about, why is it necessary. Nobody was actually, rather wanted to talk, and I'm sure Prabhuji, he will agree with me how much effort he must have laid down in getting people acquainted with this stuff. And today, because of stalwarts like him, we are discussing this topic. So heartfelt thanks to the gurus, the people who have paved the way for all of us. See, general scenario, and I always say, हम लोग घर खरीदते हैं, we buy property. What we do at first, we go, we get it registered, we get it mutated, we get it transferred to our name. That's the very basic thing we do. क्यों करते हैं? वो इसलिए क्योंकि मेरा right. I have invested some money into it, and I just want to procure my property. In a very similar manner, I believe बहुत ज्यादा जरूरत है, काफी हम लोग समझ रहे हैं, बहुत ज्यादा तेजी से हमें ये समझने की भी जरूरत है कि हमारी बौद्धिक संपदा, इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी carries a weight, a value which has no boundaries at all. The property which we have purchased, the house we have purchased, actually it has some limitation, it has some boundaries. But our intellectual capability, the property which we have created, it has no boundaries at all. So why not to protect it? Obviously, there are a couple of reasons. There are some issues which we are discussing today, which we are brainstorming down today, that why it has happened, why it is going forward. Though it has always been said that भारत बहुत ज्यादा बौद्धिक संपन्न राष्ट्र रहा है शुरू से, और आने वाले समय में भी I am pretty much hopeful that we are going to harness our IP. Now, coming to this situation, the moment, as Prabhuda sir was mentioning, or he mentioned, you come up with any idea, we need to channelize it. We need to actually do some search, whether it is existing somewhere. Just like, a similar personality, I'm sure you are the young brains, you are much more advanced than us. Rather, I generally say you are 3-4 generations ahead than us. It's like every 5 years bring in a couple of, it's like huge and a drastic change. And the one of the very reason why I because it keeps you young in a manner, you end up looking at something which is yet to come in the world, which is yet to be known, or which is yet to be practiced around in the world. So that was the thrill which actually, because of which I entered into IP around 15-16 years ago. And certainly it changes your perspective. Now, coming to our Indian perspective, as in if we say Indian situation, the Atmanirbhar Bharat, how we can make it, our MSMEs, our education system, our academia, everywhere, what we need is, we need to protect our IP in a manner that we get the due in a manner that wherever we go, our people, our citizens should be educated, that kind of a knowledge we are generating. See, just look into a perspective. We are 130 billion, right? Itne sare dimag, so many brains, doing day in, day out, a lot of stuff, thinking a lot. Think India, right? The name you are taking care of. In a very similar manner, if at all India is thinking, then we need to protect that IP, so that wherever we go in the world, wherever our knowledge goes, we get our due, we get our due regard, due honorarium, due the monetary gains as per our economy, what we need to. And you must have looked around, turmeric, neem, haldi, bahut sare, the enormous amount of our traditional knowledge, which again stalwarts, they fought to get the rights back. People around the world, they still go back to our literature, they go back to our books, and they dig up a lot of things which even we ourselves, we are not even aware of. We have not harnessed till date. But coming up with the inventions, like Prabhuda sir again mentioned, because he's such a visionary speaker, I'll keep on mentioning him, and the next speaker, Unnatji, he is again going to highlight multiple things. Invention, innovation, these things, I believe, should be like our students, our kids, we learn the basics, ka, kha, ga, ga, ABCD, something like that. So it should be the moment we get some kind of insight into life, the moment we get into a basic curriculum into school, we should be aware of that why, how, kyun, kis liye, we have to get it protected. And if very quickly, I would like to share some data points with you, which I generally do. And I'm not sure whether my screen started sharing or if it is visible. Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay. So, the data points, and there are a lot of IP scenario which we have built around. There are a couple of pillars, which Indian Patents Act in 1970, which actually became the landmark law act for prevailing the way of IP. If we look at current scenarios, India's research and innovation data points, number of patents, if we look around, China filed somewhere around 13,81,584 patent application. And this is WIPO's report. USA, it was 6,0956. And if you look at India, we are at a very dismal number of somewhere around 47,000. And out of those, 68% were filed by NRIs. Number of publications, these are research publications. So again, IP product, 17.8%. If we look into the indicators, 18.6% by China. As many articles, these are like 4 times as many as published out of India. Now, quality of research index as well, you can see the figures. These were alarming, these are alarming, though situation has improved, people started working, we are working at, but again, like one of the prime initiative, which are both the panelists, they are part of it. We a fortnight ago rather, we started one of the major initiative by the name of Kapila, the Kalam program for IP literacy awareness and Abhiyan we have initiated in the country to make aware all our youth of higher education institutions and faculty members to move into the direction to protect their IP. We have set the targets, we have set the ball rolling in a way that yes, you people should look into, should move ahead. This is something, every one of you must be mesmerized to look into that, what our university research it has done. From a very basic thing, from seat belt in our car, to the ultrasound, to the solar panel, to the CAT scan machine, chemotherapy drugs, rocket fuel, even periodic table, both the scientists are here. Everything came out of university research. And these are like a couple of important innovations. And everything, see in our, and again, thanks to the NEP, which has started rolling in now, very soon you will be looking at the impact, what it is going to bring in. From the nascent stage, from the basic stage, if we are able to think aloud, if we are able to cultivate that knowledge in a meaningful direction, I'm sure these kind of innovations and some path breaking, they are bound to come from our university research. The system has to be, the industry should come to the academia and ask that what kind of innovation, what new invention you have done so that we can use it for the masses for social impact. Something that has to be the scenario, and that always should be on the if you ask me what has happened in our Indian scenario, in indigenous manner, we go to college and we look around that I have to do a particular kind of a job and I start preparing myself into that. No, there has to have some balance out of there. There has to have some, mechanism, or which I'm sure NEP is going to bring in, the research inputs which has been created, the foundation which has been laid. The academia should work on the technologies which are word yet to be seen, which are not there, so that industry can actually come in, they can mass produce, and they can take it to the social benefit. This has to be the scale of academia. Look at the revenue share of some foreign universities, which have taken it from the internet. This is 2016 data. Look at today, it must be much more. But coming to our academic scenario, we stand nowhere. And it is a question for introspection. Yes, we are doing it. We are trying to answer it, though sitting from that's the reason I told you that Kapila, we have already initiated something so that it acts as a trigger. It may take a year or 2 or 3, but it is bound to change this kind of landscape, that people like you who are going to become the researchers in labs in years to come, I'm sure they must be more than willing to take up this challenging task. See the kind of revenues which has been generated in United States out of university research, the cross licensing which Prabhudas sir mentioned. 91, only 1,307 patents they got issued to universities. By 14, it was 5,898. The revenue by 2014, it was $2.2 billion. So kind of revenue coming up, kind of monetary gains coming up. These are the things which we actually look up. And I'll not proceed for the further slides, because these are the basic explanations. And I know that being the technical, so being the students or from the colleges, from the institutions, being the think tank you people are, it is available everywhere. But comparing our IP or intellectual property, how it can be harnessed to make India Atmanirbhar, we have to understand the morning, the time we wake up and the time we go to bed. I'm sure so many IP we actually encounter in and around us, which even we are not aware of. The moment we wear our sleepers, the moment our clothes, the brush, the shaving razor in case of males, even the comb, the specs, the vehicle we are driving, the pistons inside it, even the design aspects. So a lot of things, they are IP protected. Now, why we are lagging behind? Because of the awareness, because of the the kind of momentum which we have to look on, and through these kind of programs, that momentum is trying to be developed out of our scenarios, our system. See, one thing I want to say, like a kid is born in our families, what we do after a couple of days, we name that life form so that that life form can be identified, that life form can carry that lineage, carry that legacy for whole life or for the days to come by. In a very similar stuff, we have to understand the IP which is coming from our mindset. We need to protect it. We need to get it appropriately filed in our patent offices or copyright offices or trademark, whatsoever kind of IP which Prabhu sir explained. We need to protect it. We need to provide it to the industry, small time SMEs, MSMEs. Just imagine if the clusters we have, the kind of IP coming from the university, and that is another task which we have taken through our innovation councils, which we established somewhere around 1700s across the country. So those IITs, we are trying to connect them with the MSME clusters. Now, research coming up, the problems they are coming up, we are providing the solutions, but kind of solutions, those are IP protected, or those have the potential to be get IP rights. We are actually providing help. We are actually providing support over there so that appropriate IP can be filed, IP rights can be protected, and these clusters, small time industries, can they get the benefit of cross licensing? Like one cluster has jointly, they have got some rights. Can everyone in that cluster use that typical kind of IP and benefit out of it? Though we do have geographical indications and other stuff as well in our country, but because of the technology and because of other stuff, like some research, new research is coming up. So these kind of what shall I say, out of box thinking has to be done. These kind of protection mechanisms to strengthen our industry has to be done. We see generally, I many times again say, why we have to have the policy of look there. No, we have to look inside. We have to be indigenous. We have to evolve with things which are meant to make our country stronger, and then let the world follow us. Why we shy away for doing that? What will happen? Maybe we'll have a sort of, I generally refrain again using a word failure. It's a kind of enterprising journey, kind of another startup. We have to try, and through the think tanks like Think India, the young stalwarts, I'm sure it's a question for introspection. We have to do that. We have to think inside, make a kind of standards which should benefit the people of our country, and then let it open for the world. And with these words, I would like to close. And I'm sure if we keep on working like this with Think India's agendas and look inside policy, strengthen indigenously policy, I believe we are going to make India a stronger nation and certainly Atmanirbhar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for the immense dreams regarding innovating minds of our country. University research and also hence motivated us towards it. Now I shall head towards Dr. Unnat Pandit ji and request him to share his piece of advice on IPR.
Namaskar. It is indeed privilege that I am sharing the panel with two legendary people, Professor Prabuddha Ganguly, with whose guidance and mentorship I have also groomed myself, and a dear friend Mohit Kambe. What they have shared, I am going to continue the same pace and try to link with the Atmanirbhar Bharat. And before we begin, would like to give the two case which is among us and who have been actively associated with the Think India and who have really contributed in the journey of IP innovation. We have been passing through the time of a change. And this is a COVID time, and we have got the new normal by which we are now connecting with each other and sharing our knowledge. But two people from the Think India have utilized this knowledge and have dared to convert this tough phase into the opportunity. One of them is Kanti Sagar. Kanti Sagar is a PhD student from ICT Mumbai, and because of the lockdown, the hostel has been vacated, and he went to the hometown. And prior to he went to the hometown, he has started working on developing the sanitizer, developing the people product which can be utilized for the personal protection. And fortunately, he has got a license just before the lockdown. He has applied, and immediately on the next day of the lockdown, he has got the license. And he has done the validation, he has done all the process activities to be done, and then now journey begins here. How in the tough time we are well sitting at home, he has understood what is the IP, importance of IP, and how we can also smartly use the IP, because it is always wise that a role of IP is important. Whatever the IP which we are creating, we should be utilizing this IP. But the things which is not under the IP protection, we should also be wisely using it for the betterment of society. And that's what he has also done. He has developed and standardized method which is well known, but he has optimized it, and optimized in such a beautiful manner which has generated a narrow IP, but protecting this IP was going to take a time. So he has thought of directly commercializing this, and it is always not a wise call. I do agree with the previous two panelists that we should be protecting the IP. But looking to the SOS need of society, he has started commercialization of this IP. And during this lockdown phase, in initial 2 to 3 months, till the entire other market, which is gradually evolving, this person has earned more than 65 lakhs rupees, and he has utilized this fund in further. Now journey again takes a turn. By the time entire product, entire sector got got crowded with so many products into the market, he has switched it over, and he has thought that if I have to become an Atmanirbhar, then I should be thinking about the agriculture. And he has switched over to the agriculture. He has bought a land on a rent for 1 year. With this 65 lakhs rupees which he has earned, he has started an innovative experimentation in agriculture. The funds which he has got by utilizing the smart IP practices, he has developed a novel approach in agriculture and tried to utilize the various technologies which are available in India, but which are not getting it deployed to the farmer level. And more than 3 to 5x production he has got. He has started exporting the vegetables outside India during this lockdown phase. Second example is another student from the textile engineering in IIT Delhi. He has again developed some other processes which are not meant for the textile, but he has utilized those processes in manufacturing the face mask. So when entire country was facing the difficulty of getting the N95 mask, he has established entire commercial chain by investing around 10 lakhs rupees from the from the fellowship which he was getting, and getting a contribution from his friends. And within the 3 to 5 months, he has made a turnover of more than 1.5 crore and more than 20 lakh masks he has produced and he has sold. So that's what, whenever the opportunity knocks, we need to utilize the knowledge which is available with us and try to identify right opportunity. So of course, IP creation is important, but end goal should be the successful business opportunity and translating the IP innovation into the business opportunity. And while doing it, so it's important that we protect our IP through various means. I have also seen one question from one of the student, that how can I have a protection, whether the design protection is appropriate or patent protection is appropriate. See, we need to explore whatever the IP tool available with us, and we need to protect ourselves. And that's a primary responsibility and primary goal any researcher should have. We are 135 crore population, and with each second we are generating a raw data. How this raw data we can translate into the meaningful information, and this meaningful information getting translated into the contextual knowledge, and this knowledge is going to create the intellectual property. And if we want to achieve the goals of Atmanirbhar Bharat, we need to work wisely, work smartly, and focus on technology, innovation, and IP creation, through which we are establishing the product, services, and new value-added items which are cost-effective, self-reliant, citizen-centric, and relevant to the Indian need. And both the example, of course, if they would have gone just as normal what we are living, they would not have disrupted the ecosystem. And this is something which is important. We need to know, if we want to build the sustainable IP innovation ecosystem for achieving the Atmanirbhar Bharat goal, then we need to know what we have and how we want to utilize this knowledge which we are having, and then think about what kind of a disruption or innovation or IP creation which we can do it. And then of course Dr. Ganguly sir has also mentioned that this is the time of a change, and we need to utilize our knowledge effectively. And yes, of course, the concept evaluation, getting the standards and midway options which are available, through which we can utilize our IP in the market. And before we begin anything, yes, we need to empower our communities to ideate and bring the change. And this change can be brought by the intellectual property, and the students who are active into the research has a power to create this kind of IP. If we want to rejuvenate the inherent innovation culture of our country, then it's again the students who has a power to rejuvenate the entire inherent IP culture. We were innovating, we were utilizing our knowledge right from the ancient time. But now, in the current context, it's a high time that we, the community, utilize the IP, power of IP in all our societal activities. develop a technology, create the advancement, and apply them into the current practices, and gradually build our IP and improve the societal livelihood through insightful IP creation and the information and knowledge which we are having. We should be utilized for the betterment of our country. And as soon as possible, we also need to encourage the IP driven startup ecosystem. AICT under Mohit Kambe ji is taking a shape, then helping and building entire ecosystem for the innovative and IP driven startups from student. Whether you are initiating the activity at a pre-startup stage, startup phase, or a growth phase, it's important that we discover something which is useful for the society, and we are trying to create something which we can really add a value to the consumer, add a value to the societal need, and explore of a change which really give us a futuristic technology, futuristic IP, which is long-term sustainable for the country, for the society also. And while we are doing it, so even we, if we take a small edutech sector is having more than couple of dozens of niche IP which we hardly utilize it. How we can work wisely and adopt the culture of respecting the IP, adopt the culture of utilizing the IP wisely, and ensure that whatever the IP which has been created, we are adopting this change in the societal culture. And that is most important. We all need to work hand in hand, whether it's a government, corporate, or a community player. Whosoever is creating the IP, we need to ensure that we are working together, we have a synergy in the operations, specifically the academia and the professional people. Now, as soon as you are going to be into the IP journey through your professional career, always think about the community, and whatsoever maybe you are trying to work on new creation, it should have a one focus where how I can ensure that through my IP society is going to gain something out of it. Create an environment that fosters the research, innovation, development, and this development resulting into the deployment of a innovation IP for the community benefit. Our honorable former president Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was always saying that education is the most powerful weapon which can be used wisely to change the world. And this is the opportunity. If we want to build the self-reliant Bharat, then education, IP, innovation ecosystem need to have that kind of a flair which can change the societal need through IP innovation creation. With these words, I would like to pause myself, and if at all any queries are there, we can have the question answer session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a beautiful piece of advice. These ideas surely will create an impact on our entrepreneurs. Now, we will move on to our question answer session. So, in case you have any queries, you can post them in chat box. So, sir, we have a question in our chat box that how to be sure if any of our idea is useful enough to be patented.
First of all, we need to learn that idea is not a patentable subject matter. This idea need to be translated into the proof of concept. And this kind of a proof of concept must have some application. So this proof of concept need to translate into the pre-prototype or prototype through which we can have a small user trial. And if we get a success, then we need to ensure that this kind of a idea is not already protected by somebody. It should involve the novelty, inventive step, and of course the industrial applicability. These are the basic criteria, and there are so many other things which are involved in ensuring that the concept which you are thinking or the evidence which you are establishing is a patentable or not. This is the basic fundamental understanding about the concept or idea or component which you are developing is patentable or not. There are so many things involved into this.
Can I just add something to what Professor Unnat mentioned? Am I audible? Can I add
Yes, sir.
something
Yes,
to
sir.
what
We
Professor
can hear
Unnat
you.
has just mentioned? Yeah.
Yes, sir. We can
As
hear
you
you.
rightly said, see, first of all, how do we generate the idea? The reason is that we see a purpose, we want to achieve. So we must evaluate what we want to achieve. So if I put the cart in an easier way on the road, if that is the purpose, right, then I have to create a cart which the bullocks can easily take. Then I must assess, do I want the bullock cart to go on a village road where there are no roads and there are a lot of tolls? So the purpose becomes very important. The moment the purpose I know, I then start thinking my ideas how to translate that purpose into a project, into a way in which I want to innovate. Now, that's where the starting point comes in. So the idea per se does not stand on its own. The idea is for a purpose. So the idea becomes in the context of what I'm trying to achieve. Point number one. And therefore, I must do a search, a literature search, a knowledge search of whether this idea has been used in this context by somebody, and then see if I can translate that idea into to achieve the purpose that I'm doing. That is the way we start, and then we do an evaluation whether that contextual idea, whether I could use that and take it further to the next step and protect it by using patent or whatever out there. So important part is contextualization, understanding what is it that I want to achieve, and then the idea is related to that, what I want to achieve, and the means of achieving the idea then may be patentable. Okay?
Yes, thank you, sir. Next, we have a question from Shivam, who is project engineer at IIT Kanpur. He asked that he had applied for a patent. He's asking that how much time it would take to get his patent number. And second, he asked that how many that seen many same type of solar panel cleaning system. Only change is either length or width of the system or brush or clothes. And also patent do exist with that design. So can you please explain how much IPR covers same or similar?
Sir, if you allow me, I already responded to Shivam, and I would like to start his third question. Tanya, if you see the third question which Shivam has interpretation of that. So the situation is maybe Prabhuda sir and Unnatji again will correct me, but dear friends, there is nothing like design patent. It is industrial designs which we consider in India, and because patent office is taking care of that, then it's a terminology which we have taken it from the foreign jurisdiction. Like we go to US and other jurisdictions, there we say it is a design patent. Here we have industrial designs, we file it up, and that industrial designs, what they do is they take care of the appearance and the aesthetics of anything which you have filed for. Now, when you are saying a patent is something which, like Unnatji was mentioning, it has some rules and defined rules, like how you have to do it. You have to search for, you have to look into, process, machine, manufacture, or composition thereof, like PMMC formula, which I generally tell in my classes. And or it is a new, in a simple term, a new technology or an invention which you are coming to file with. Now, as Shivam asked, how much time it takes for? It depends on the patent office that or the patent and trademark office, the IPO which he has filed in, that how many files and other situations they are lying with them. In case of industrial design, it may vary from 2 months to the time limit which they do have. Now, considering he himself has mentioned, the Shivam has mentioned that he himself has seen a lot of similar concepts. So which Prabuddha sir mentioned that you have to do a due diligence in a way, the search beforehand. An inventor must enter into a practice of doing a thorough search. It is just like you are doing your PhD, and after 4, 5, 6 years you came to know that somebody else, they have submitted a very similar PhD, then whole 5, 7 years are lost. On a similar note, if you are aware of that something similar is already happening, just go through it very thoroughly, take the expert advice, and then take the due consultation that what protection or for what particular object or an item or an innovation feature you have to file protection for. And then another third question which Shivam continued and asking, that there are many same type of products available in market and you have filed for an industrial design. So if it is, aesthetically or in appearance wise, it is different, then I believe you stand a case for further, submissions or the rejections, office actions, or whatsoever correspondence from IPO. You yourself are answering your own question. And though a few people, they are asking like content created on social medias like YouTube, Facebook, etc. They come under copyright? Yes, they do. Your website design and other kind of designs, the pictures what you create. So the moment you do it, it is a sort of a copyright. But to get the legal protection, you have to go and file for a copyright. Prabhupada sir, maybe you can add something whatsoever.
Yeah. Now, I'll just just add on to what Mohit has just mentioned. Now, the first part is coming back to those similar devices or similar patents for the products which are there. What do we do generally? Now, when we look at what is already existing, the first question we ask is that whether the existing products are giving me all the functionalities that we desire. Now, if the existing products are not giving us all the functionality that we desire, then we find out what is the shortcoming in the existing designs. So in the existing, we find out what the shortcomings are. Then I say that, can I address those shortcomings? Then my invention lies in addressing the solution to those shortcomings. And then my invention lies there. And then I have to do an evaluation whether those shortcomings, the solutions which I am giving, whether they can be patented or not, that we have to go through a certain analysis. But the first part is to analyze whether the existing products which are there gives me all, the desired. For example, let's take an example. We'll understand it through an example. Suppose I have a processor which takes, let us say, 15 minutes to do something, right? But I want to do it in 2 minutes. So the weakness of the present processor is that it takes a very long time. Now, if I have an idea how to reduce that 15 minutes to 2 minutes, that difference in my designing of a microprocessor, which will reduce it from 15 minutes to 2 minutes, is where my invention lies. Though the two microprocessors may be very similar, but my microprocessor is different from that because I've reduced the 15 minutes to 2 minutes. That's a major technological breakthrough. Somebody may look at my invention and say, oh, 2 minutes is too long. I can do it in 1 second, right? That will be another invention, still a microprocessor, very similar, but then it addresses a technical problem and takes it to a next higher level. That is the reason what Mohit mentioned, you have to do a search, you have to know what is already existing, you have to do an analysis of that, and then decide and develop your ideas to take it to the next higher level of technology, and then go to the patenting from there. Or that is from the patent point of view. Coming to industrial design registration, he rightly said that this is done for articles and the shapes and ornamentation, where you are disregarding the functional aspect. Because the moment the design you bring in a functional aspect, you go into the realm of patents. Okay? Now, when you are looking at the design as shape and ornamentation, for example, if I take this mouse, right? This mouse which you're seeing here, if this, instead of being like this, was rectangular, or let us say it was, like a pyramid, it would still function as a mouse, but it will look different. And now somebody may like to buy a mouse which looks like a pyramid, and somebody may like to buy a mouse which looks like this, right? That's a different story. So, but the functionality is still the same. It looks different, therefore we buy it. So for example, when you go to the market to buy a cup, okay, you don't pour tea or coffee in the cup and then buy. You look at it and say, I like it. The looks attract me. That is design registration, right? You go to the shop and you take your, you go there, and when you're buying your specs, what do? You stand in front of the mirror and take each one without the lens and put it. Why do you do it? So how do I look like? So you go by the looks of the shape and ornamentation of this. That is a design registration. But if you say it is easier to put, then you go to functionality, then that is protected by patent. The shape and ornamentation is protected by design registration. So very briefly, with these few examples, I'm showing you how we create an IP portfolio from the same specs that we are talking about. We can get patent, we can get industrial design registration. The name of this will go through a trademark. The brochure for all this will be protected by copyright. So that's the way you will create a portfolio for something like this. Okay? So that add to what Mohit ji said. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, sir. And next we have a question that what are the sources, sir, which we can refer to find out whether I'm working on is the idea I'm working on is IPR protected or copyrighted? That is covering product or service both.
Okay, I'll just quickly tell you. It's a very good question. I mean, it's a brilliant question. And this is precisely where we'll have to train all our students, faculty, and everybody as to first ask, where can I find this information? Interestingly enough, this information is all there in the public domain. What we can do, and I'm sure Mohit ji in his program, and he can elaborate later, but in his program, what he is doing, what we can do is we will create an information base for you as to where you can go and search, where you can look for this, how you will look for it, and we will arrange a training program where people like you can attend, and we will then teach you how to really do it. So therefore, when you get an idea or you want to do something, you immediately go to look at those databases, search it, study it, and take the next step forward. It's a very good question. That's why I'm saying, that's why when I coined this particular line, सब कुछ सीखा हमने ना सीखी IPR होशियारी. The idea is this is a part of IPR होशियारी, right? We must learn all this, and therefore I would appeal to Mohit ji and his program under the entire thing to bring these type of things in a simplified way to our universities and other institutions, where we can then guide them to how to really get initiated into this particular process. So it's an initiation. It's like doing yoga. It's like doing meditation. You get to initiate it. So we will initiate you. I'm very happy that you have asked this question, but we will give you the websites and other things, how to do these searches, right? Thank you.
Yes, sir. So now next we have a question, that is how to make a prototype from an idea.
Mohit ji, you want to go ahead because you have done a lot of work in this?
Yeah. As in the current scenario, and this is again a major challenge, which majority of the innovators they come up with. I have an idea what to do next. अब मैं क्या करूं, है ना? So there are small groups, even through our Institute Innovation Councils. They are there in 1,700 institutions right now. There are again incubation centers which Unnat ji has established as well during his term in tenure. So you people, see, first and foremost, you have an idea, sign an NDA, and then you can work on with the team to look around that how to take or how to give it some meaningful shape. That's in a general startup world where we say that we invite and join co-founders with us on some terms and terminologies. In a very similar manner, as Prabodhiji mentioned, you need to first gather the knowledge. Yes, this is something which is directly required for. This is something which is unique. Now you have the idea. Look for the people, the POC. If you can develop yourself, that is okay. And I'm sure the question is being asked because there is a challenge, which I myself have faced multiple times. When you look for the people who are capable of doing, make a team, and then certainly of support available. A lot of activities are happening outside world, even in your college. Whosoever, I believe, if a question has come from an academia, you go to your college and look around. There must be a facility now, and if not, search for IICs. If not, simply email us. Like Prabodhiji is here, Unaji is here, myself is there. We will certainly try to help you out. Thanks. I believe I somehow tried to cover.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have how to make modifications in the existing solution.
See, again, it is a need, something which has to be looked for. There, it should not be like I only sit and do the modification in some until and unless we plug the loopholes, we start from a point and take it to a meaningful conclusion, take it to something. And otherwise, you can keep on sitting and, if you are modifying a chair you are sitting in on, until and unless it has some utilitarian value moving forward. And I'm sure after me, Unnaji is going to add up a couple of points here. I can see his laugh as well. but the point is, just for the sake of modifying anything, I'm afraid it is not going to bear any fruit. You have to look for, like, number one, IP, whether you are protecting that IP and letting it out for the social and noble cause, that has to be the intention. Number two, whether that modification, whom it is for, whom it is going to impact, then there is some meaningful effort has to be made. Just for the sake of it, I'm afraid I'm not going to take that practice for myself. Unaji, for you.
Yeah, see, it is most important that what is required by the customer or the user. If he is the king, so if you are able to satisfy their demand, their requirement, then that is going to be a successful product which is going to be utilized. Now on IP front, I may like that I want to have, like in a classroom chair, I want to have a nice designer fabric, but this fabric is not accepted by the user because it requires a maintenance and all. And though there is some kind of a designer thing which you can also protect through the design registration and various other means, what Ganguly sir has suggested, that for one particular product there are going to be various IP tool, but what is required by the user is also equally important. So while we are creating something which is a patentable, which has some IP, but it is not at the end fulfilling the end user's need, then those kind of IP won't get commercialized. And the effort, energy, resources which we are putting in creating such IP is not going to see the success. So while we are developing or working on this, we need to keep all these things in our mind.
Let me now add something also to be very futuristic in our thinking, right? So the first part, the simpler part, is finding out what we need. Therefore, if there is some need and it has not been met, then it is an unmet need. And how do I address an unmet need? So my innovations, all the work that I do tries to achieve the unmet need of society. Correct? Like Unnati has given an example of a chair. For example, suppose I say I need 2 chapatis every day to fill my stomach. But such an invention that only 1 chapati he has made in such a way gives me the nutrition for 2 chapatis. Right? And therefore, he meets my unmet need. But now instead of eating 2 chapatis, I eat only 1 chapati. That is because Unnati has designed the chapati in such a way with all the nutritional values that 1 chapati is good enough. I don't need to eat 2. So see how much of wheat he has saved in the country. Think about it that way. Enormous amount of wheat. So if I was spending 2 times the wheat, now somebody else can eat that part. So from 2 chapatis, he has brought it down to 1 chapati. Very major invention, if you can do that. Right? That is one part of an invention where you're meeting unmet needs. Number 2, there are other types of inventions you may come with, which today people don't see the need. But you created something whose need will be felt 10 years down the line. You are being a visionary. So let us look at some of those. For example, internet. Right? 40 years ago, nobody knew about internet. Today, my grandson, who is 2 months old, he says internet. I'm sorry, 2 years old, says internet. Now, that's the thing. So 40 years ago, nobody thought about internet. Today, internet is like dal and rice. Correct? Everybody. If internet is not there, we won't be having this session. So this type of inventions or creations which are done with a futuristic, like artificial intelligence. Nobody talked about artificial intelligence 60, 70 years ago. Today, it's become the buzzword. Today, people are saying, I will grow certain types of materials on the moon surface. Why? Because I don't want gravity. Right? So I will do it in space because then I can do it without defects, etc. And I can get some very good material. So people think of those are ideas. But as Unnati said right in the beginning, how do you convert those ideas into proof of concept and how do you take it to the next step? So there are many types of inventions. One is which is a continuous development over what is already there. Others which are disruptive. Correct? It comes with a completely new thinking. And therefore, that's a different type of thing. But all these, we need to look at the end of the day, we have to also come and say, what could be the possible use? And then, that is why, as Unnati said right in the beginning, that for me to get intellectual property rights, I not only have to do this, but also I have to be different from the others. He used the word it has to be novel. I'm saying you have to be different from others. That's novelty. I have to do it in such a way that it is not a mere extension of the existing knowledge. And that in our language, we call as inventive step or non-obviousness. That is not just a simple linear extension. There's some non-linearity in the extension. So that is the second part of it. Third, that there is a utilization that is capable of application. So all the three have to be satisfied. Therefore, when we are thinking of ideas, we must think holistically, not just as an idea for the sake of an idea, right? If it is for the sake of an idea, I might as well write a poetry for which I'll get a copyright. Or I may do a painting, I'll get a copyright, but I will not get a patent for that. Okay? I mean, I just wanted to clarify all these aspects out there. But very good question.
Yeah, and if Prabodh sir and Unnati permits, I would just like to add, being into the part of like the sir mentioned, it's like fundamental invention or you are coming up with a continued invention or improvements. I myself have witnessed a couple of fundamental stuffs like world's first mobile app search engine. I was part of it. World's first GTAR. I was part of it. World's first IVR menu. I was part of it. World's first multi-layer semiconductor chip. I was part of it. World's first multi-user gaming platform. I was part of it. Now, why I'm saying that, you can see the thrill of, because I used to work with labs which were thinking wave. Even the basic HoloLens concept, I remember in 2007 and 8, we were sitting in Bay Area and we were looking at, bus passing by, and an idea struck. What if this bus is moving and this image starts speaking? That's how it started. And then, people around us, they'll say, oh man, he's crazy. He's an idiot. But that some kind of those kind of thought process makes the foundation for the future, the path breaking technologies which are about to come, like Prabhupada sir mentioned. So there are a couple of inventions or things which are modifications, which are improvements. There are something which are not yet born even, and which we and the world around us, they say that this guy is a maniac, or this fellow is a maniac. I don't know, he thinks in a weird word. But to make India Atmanirbhar, I'm dead sure we have to have again, like we say, new normal or blended learning whatsoever. We have to have that kind of blending. The improvement scopes and the fundamental or futuristic invention must come from this land of knowledge, so that we can certainly rise above around the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we're moving on to our last question. That is, what is the difference in industrial designs registration and patent?
Okay, I'll just quickly give you the thing. First part, that when we are doing an invention, it has to do with functionality of a product or a process. Functionality. Moment I ask the question which I'm asking is, I want a better pencil. Why? That I don't want the point to break while writing. Correct? I want a better pencil, which is right here with me. My eyes went there, so I just picked it up. So I want a better pencil. Now, what is the solution to that? That I create that particular material for the point, the writing material, which earlier was very soft. I want to make it harder, but I don't want to make it so hard that it does not write. So it must be hard, not to break, but sufficiently soft to make it write. That is the purpose, right? So that's the context in which I will create a better pencil, right? Also, when I'm trying to sharpen it, it should not break. So therefore, it must have the right type of, strength all around, etc., etc. I'm converting now this not only into a material science project, but also into a mechanical engineering project. So I bring mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, chemistry, all this from one little point in the pencil right is here. Now this is looking for functionality, right? And that is coming by my utilizing technologies and aspects of science and technology to achieve those. So when I come and address things on functionality, that falls into the area of patents. Clear? Patents, inventions, functionalities is the relationship. Now, take this pencil. I don't know whether you're able to see it, but if you look at this pencil, okay, this has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these, right? If you see it out there. Now, I can change the shape of this pencil. Instead of making a 6-sided pencil, I can make it into a 3-sided pencil. The same, but the pencil will look different. That is the subject matter of industrial design registration. So the pencil, a 3-sided pencil, will fall in the industrial design registration. Why? Because the 3-sided or 6-sided is not making a difference in the functionality, right? So that will be protected. Aspect will be protected by industrial design registration, but this aspect will be protected by patent. Okay, so very important. Mere shapes and ornamentation, disregarding the functionality, that will go into industrial design registration. But when we come to functionality and we address through methods of science and technology those issues of functionality, that will come in patents. Okay, if anybody wants to add into it, please go ahead.
No, sir, you have explained it wonderfully, and I'm sure the query is certainly resolved. More or less, in our academia, I have also encountered these kind of questions. Even the budding researchers, they have been taught, and people many a times psychologically try to attach these two things with a kind of, I'm afraid I don't want to use this word, but with a kind of value, that which carries more value, which carries more weight if I go for industrial design and if I go for a patent. And that is something 99.99% of the case people end up asking for. Maybe I'm asking on behalf of the audience
Let me give you an example. I mean, since I am a patent attorney for the last 30 years into it, but let me give you a simple example. Very, very simple example. You take the razor, plastic razor with which we shave, very simple. Now that plastic razor looks very innocent, right? Very innocent. Now, very interestingly, if you take Gillette, for example, that innocent plastic razor, plastic, is protected by a few hundred patents. Okay, it is protected by a few hundred design registrations with all the striations, the shape, all those going to design registration. But the way in which the blades are placed so that you don't get cut, so that it goes very easily on the skin, or on this, when you take the razor, when you take the cartridge, it shakes slightly like this. Why does it shake like that? Because when you put it here, it takes the shape of your, this. So people have thought about the functionality. So all these are very beautiful examples. I have actually written patents on, lot of patents on razors and whatnot. It suddenly occurred to me. I said, let me explain to you how, and this is in the marketplace. Gillette is fighting with Supermax is fighting with somebody. All this fight is going on, saying, you copied me. Then we go and say, no, I didn't copy you. You have done like this, but I have done it like this, which is not what you have done. So the two may look the same, but look at the way I have done. And that is where we have studied the patents. We have studied what was there earlier and designed around it. So the innovation was done around it. It was a development. So we came and said, look, when you do like this, what happens is the beard, the
I think his volume is not audible.
Yeah, there might be some internet. Yes.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, point is, you have to find out what is the problem with the existing products and design around. So your invention, your innovation is designing around what is already available. That is how you develop your thought process. That's how you get ideas. That's how you take it to the next step.
Yeah, fair enough. And thank you so much, sir. That really entails. And maybe meanwhile, Tanya comes in with a question. There, some student, it has written over there. Is there any direct way for students to file patent or design registration through their college? So I just want to add on. Look for Kapila, Kapila. Very soon, lot of action is happening, and both the visionaries. I am sharing my panel of today. They are there in Kapila program as well as a guiding force, and we are trying to build an ecosystem where all our HEI's youth and subsequently other citizens can take the benefit out of it. So you are going to get the details from your institutions very soon. A policy matter is coming in. Don't worry, we are taking care of. And Unnat sir, again, your 2 words.
Yeah. So again, very nicely explained, sir. And Ganguly sir, of course, the question is asked by the Kamlesh Bansal, but very interesting and important and insightful also. I would like to even have your views on this. Does the content created on social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, for service business marketing comes under copyright?
The answer is yes, it comes under copyright, 100%. Why? Because the creation of, it's an expression of the human mind. And the expression of the human mind is finding itself in the outlet of YouTubes, etc., and in social media. Now, what does copyright do? Copyright gives protection to the creator of that particular material, so that the right to reproduce the material is only with the creator of that material, unless you have taken permission. Now, all this has a lot of ifs and buts, so we need to look at each one very carefully that when we are reproducing something, when I take your figure and put it in my thing, or I take something from somewhere, or I copy something from a book, I have to be very careful while reproducing it. Now, so therefore we have to go into it, and I would request Mohitji in his program of Kapila, right? We must have some very powerful, simple modules on copyright where we will guide the students and faculty of how they should be careful of copyright issues, number one, and what they can do with copyright issues. So that's something there. Yes, it is a part of copyright.
Yes, sir. So I'm going to certainly, cover that and take care of that, because many faculty members also, they encounter this situation, and I keep on answering them that the moment you create your content, it is a copyright material. But to fight for and to get litigation, enter into that, you need to go and take the protection, and otherwise you have to have this.
Mohitji, when you and Ganguly sir both are here, I think we need to create a specific program for the faculty.
Yes.
On copyright, and secondly for the librarians.
Yes.
Ganguly sir is, sir, you are into the digital library and you have prepared a guideline.
Yes.
Through AICT network, we can have a program for all the affiliated institutions librarian. And that is going to really, of course, it is going little
Thank you
bit
for the
off
suggestion.
off to the core theme of this program.
I have immediately taken note of it.
So we must do it, and it is the time now. Mohitji, it is the right time for two reasons. And this for everybody who is also in the audience. Two reasons. Number one, we are going continuously now on the net. So what we can do and what we cannot do as teachers and as students is something that we must know. That's point number one. And point number two, that it is also the time that the Copyright Act is going to get amended. And there were certain amendments are absolutely essential in the present Copyright Act to bring these features in. And we therefore must take this up from MHRD to the copyright people and say why we need those.
I think we have a problem on the connectivity, but it is important. Yeah. Somewhere your voice was
very well taken.
But yes, even this event, which is going on a live telecast on Facebook and YouTube, the organizers have a copyright on the way entire discussion is happening, and they have a full protection of this digital content which is getting delivered through Think India platform on a social media. And when somebody forwards or retweets or share this in their network, so Think India is giving them permission. That's a digital permission which they signing when they are trying to post this digital content on a social media. So this is classic case of entire this event also. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I only want to add one thing, and this is something that we have to do for all organizations, whether Think India or other organizations, that when they organize this, they must also write in their invitation to each and every panelist that we are going to share this in the digital media and we are seeking your permission. Otherwise, what will happen? Somebody may come and say, I put the slide. Who asked you to reproduce it? So you must take the permission. So therefore, to make a beginning today, what you must do from now Think India makes the beginning. So Think India must send a small email to Mohitji, Unnatji, and me.
Yeah. With this email, they should seek the permission of the panelists for reproducing the views which the panelists have expressed. Yeah.
And the slides, so that each one of us will confirm by email to you, and that is where you have taken the copyright clearance from us, and then when you share it in social media, you are absolutely safe. So
Yeah.
beginning, if this is the first lesson out of this session.
This is also a good beginning. Sir, I know during the initial phase of a lockdown, we used to take a digital selfie. And that was the very much initial beginning when I was into the Niti Aayog. And this is something which is now a new normal, which everybody is taking. So now with these also, Think India should respect the IP, and then should also get the written consent. And whenever they are going to get a confirmation from a panelist, add this clause also in your
Yes,
invitation.
you must
So
put.
they will also be aware that whatever
Correct.
they are going to discuss here, it will go into the public domain, and there is a consent
There is a
which they
consent.
have given.
Correct. Now, in our case today, though we have not given prior consent, we will give you post consent. No problem.
Yeah.
So you send a mail, we will confirm back with you. But when you create the other programs, this must come in your invitation itself, that please be informed that we are going to reproduce this in digital media. It will be in YouTube. This. We have you're accepting this invitation. Do we take as a confirmation that you are, that you are allowing us to do this? As soon as they accept, you're okay. Okay? So this is the first lesson,
sir,
I think, out of today.
and sir, this is not just for the digital media, even for any event.
Media,
Any event,
any event,
because we are
any
going to
event.
take a captions from the panelists. We are going to add this caption into the Twitter with their name,
Correct.
and that tweet is going to be into the public domain. People will retweet
Correct.
to it. So that's
Correct.
why all these are very small elements, but
Correct.
very important, and plays an important role into the society.
No,
And
not only that,
respecting for this kind of a IP is having an importance. Yeah.
government of India to get into any issues, like MHRD, right? When MHRD does something, it is government of India. We don't want MHRD to get into issues. We don't want, our other departments to get into any issues. We don't want that. We are doing it for a good purpose. So let the purpose be understood, and let us take the right steps.
And this will build the culture, sir, of
Exactly.
respecting the IP. And
Exactly.
this will begin with the Think India event.
In fact, this begins with there, and also the Kapila event, right? The Kapila is also a platform where they are now teaching people how to respect other IP, not only creating your own IP, but respecting others' IP. I think let's take that as the cultural spirit behind the whole thing.
Even the citation is important. So
Yes.
they need to learn how to cite into their presentation,
Correct.
and what all importance. That's a wonderful initiative which we take up through AICT.
Wonderful. Let's do that, because this is important for our education institutions.
Thank you very much. Tanya, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the real life examples, for making us understand a better way. And now we are nearing the end of our talk, and we have well discussed the role of IPR in Atmanirbhar Bharat and an entrepreneurship journey. So there were many inspiring ideas for youths to set up their startup and start their entrepreneurial journey efficiently. This discussion of things about patents, rights, etc., would surely help young students in national institutes. I would like to express my gratitude to all of our panelists for giving their precious time and mentoring us. Also, I would like to thank all of you participants to attend this talk. I also request all of you to attend today's evening session themed on sustainability, education, and rural entrepreneurship. Timing for that session is 6 to 8 p.m. and you all can now leave the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.